Here we go. We're live on Paper Route. Ashley Nicole Moss is still on her phone. She's finishing up text messages right now.
I'm requesting to join your live.
Oh, she's requesting to join my live while we're on YouTube streaming live.
Yeah, I'm going to join your live.
This is Wellness Wednesday. All right, let me see Ashley's request. There she is. No, there you go. Ashley Nicole Moss. I'm going to do that. I'm going to accept that. Welcome back. Super excited about Wellness Wednesday. We have a few things coming up. But before we do that, I just want to say hello to the team.
Hi, team.
Yeah, we got Corey in the cut. What's up, Corey?
What's happening?
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great on this marvelous Wednesday, on this marvelous hump day.
We have Woo out west. Woo, you good?
I'm doing good.
My guy.
All right. We got BC in the booth. How is BC doing? Wellness Wednesday, 1 to 10. Where are you at? BC, can you throw yourself up?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're doing good. Happy.
I don't know if he can. Can he?
Does this work if we're in the same room?
It may not.
Does IG Live work if we're in the same room?
Okay, Ashley, how are you doing? Astrodamus?
I am Astrodamus. Correctly predicted that the Boston Celtics would beat Corey's Miami Heat last night, and here we are, folks.
Tell the people why you sound weird and you doing all this.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna hop off because they said there's an echo. And we're in the same room, so it's not going to work. So I have to go.
Just turn it down.
It doesn't work. There's still an echo because your phone's picking it up. I tried.
Okay.
I thought I was being clever, but.
Well, we're here, Paper Route. So what is Paper Route? Paper Route is our version of a daily sports show infused with culture. We're into fashion. We're into hip-hop, all music, all genres. We don't discriminate. We haven't thrown out any Rotten Tomatoes, but I would love to get into some movie reviews. Is that what it's called?
Oh, Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, I didn't know where you were going with that. Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah, so that's Paper Route. Super excited about what we're doing here. We're still in a live rehearsal. I feel like football season is our time to separate, our time to take off. We're always competing. All right, like I always say, start fast, finish strong. But today we're going to talk about a little bit of sports. So Corey in the cut, what do we have?
Man, so head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, he had some words to say about his quarterback, Josh Allen. We'll get into that a little bit later. And Ben Roethlisberger, said when quarterback Kenny Pickett initially took over, he wasn't wishing him well. So we'll get into that and hear what, Kenny Pickett actually had to say, to those words. But first, we got to start with last night, right? Celtics, they beat the Heat, as Ashley just mentioned. Scores 116-99. And the Celtics keep their series alive, right? Jason Tatum, he showed up last night. He had 33 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. That's been after, like a streak of him kind of struggling and whatnot on the offensive end. But the Celtics, as a team, they shot 51% from the field, which was very impressive. And they made 18 three-pointers. That was 10 more three-pointers than the Heat. I mean, I said it before, right? 3's more than 2. That's the name of the game. If you make your shots, especially around that, from behind the arc, got a good chance of winning the game. Jimmy Butler was the Heat's leading scorer. He had 29 points, 9 rebounds. But, of course, it wasn't enough for them to get it done. Ashley, what are the Celtics' chances of coming back and winning this series?
I mean, we've never seen it happen before. It's happened in other sports, baseball, with my beloved New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox. I believe it's happened 4 times in hockey. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, anything's possible. Is it probable? Probably not. And I only say that because this is a Boston Celtics team that has been a little bit inconsistent with the way that they have played, not just in this series, but also across the board when it comes to these playoffs. You think back to the Atlanta series that went a lot further than it was supposed to. I believe that went 7 games. You think about the 76ers series, that went 7 games, and it was a back and forth series. And now they're in this predicament that I feel like if we would have gotten the version of the Boston Celtics that we saw last night, that version that everybody envisioned when they picked them to win this series, myself included, that was the Boston Celtics team that I envisioned when I said they beat the Miami Heat in 6 games. If you were to get that version of them throughout this series in some consistent form, it's either a tied series or they're leading this series. But I feel like the deficit that they're in at this point is just too deep to dig themselves out of when they're not the consistent basketball team that I think a lot of people expected them to be. So I have it going 6. I think that they win in Boston game 5, but I think Miami ends the series back home Sunday in Miami.
What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm a calculated gambler, responsible. I know some people may look at me and say, well, B, you made some big bets on a few fights recently. How's that responsible? It's responsible because you bet what you can afford to lose. And Ashley, I'm not betting anything on the Celtics. You said it, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a chance for them to potentially get it done? Absolutely. There's always a chance, but I think it's less than a 13% chance. And you hit it on the head, right?
You have the number, Woo?
The NBA,
I got the BPI right now.
The NBA is the only North American league that hasn't seen someone overcome a 0-3 deficit. So why would we gamble and why would we bet that now? I don't even know why this is even a topic.
What do you mean
it's
the only
over.
North American league?
Well, the only North American league, the NBA is the only, is what you said, the only North American sport that has a 7-game series,
Okay, got it.
playoff series that hasn't seen anyone overcome a 0-3 deficit. Do you be listening to me?
That was a really fancy way to repeat what I already said, but go ahead.
I had to because you come in with the same take. We have the same
All
thing. I had to
said
twist
was
it.
It happened once in baseball, happened 4 times in hockey. You could have simplified it. Got it.
No,
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Yesterday, Ashley did not listen to me.
No, I listened.
Hopefully
it just
she
went
was,
like this. I listened though. I listened.
No, I'm like I said. I'm a calculated gambler. I'm not willing to lose any money on the Celtics right now, and the odds aren't even really that great. I think it's plus 700 right now. If you gave me 1,500 plus 1,500, I'll probably party a little bit. I see this being over this next game.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, because they played well. They just lost it in the fourth, right? They played extremely well, just like their will.
Who lost it in the fourth?
The Heat. Like, they were close. They were close. What happened is, for me, watching it, it's the will to win that I always talk about. That's what carried this Heat team throughout this entire postseason. I saw them playing basketball, but I ain't see them hustling like they have all series long.
No, it was
and I expect that to happen next game. And if I'm being honest, Ashley, and this may be extremely terrible to say, but I was hoping they won because I'm so ready for NBA to be over with.
Whoa.
I'm so ready. It's like, are you excited about the Nuggets Heat? Are you excited about the Nuggets Heat?
I actually am. So it's actually interesting you bring that up. So, well, what's the BPI before I bring up what I'm going to say?
So basically, remember the other day when I was telling you the BPI for the Heat went up to 75 after that win?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, after Boston's win, it's almost 50-50.
Oh, what?
And the
That's so
Boston Celtics right now have a higher percentage to win the title than the Heat.
What?
So just
Who's doing the math?
Is that ESPN?
ESPN.
Is that ESPN?
That's
See, that's
ESPN.
ESPN. The probability is less than 13%.
Why did you just come up with those numbers yourself?
I did my work. I studied.
How did
you think I just show up on the
I'm
show?
sorry. What's your math
13.
equation to get
I
to
like
that
it.
number?
Google. Google. Like, you think I just show up and just make this stuff up?
Yeah,
Like,
I
even those
sometimes I do.
numbers.
But you sure?
Coming into this series, you were right. They were the clear favorite to make it to the finals. I think they gave the Heat a less than 3% chance to make it to the finals. ESPN, Woo, where you're at right now, they got some crazy odds out there. This is ridiculous. We've never seen this before. And they have them at, I don't know what you said, 50%? I thought they had them at, maybe it was going into game 4, it was 31%.
They want to send the people
Correct.
to the bookies.
But now it's the Heat finals percentage is 55, Celtics is 46, and right now to win the title, the Nuggets have 65, Celtics are 30, and the Heat is 6.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't.
sorry.
It really doesn't. Are they watching the
I don't
games?
think ESPN likes the Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, are they watching the
It
games?
doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're better. They're a better coach team. They're leading 3-1 in the series right now. They would literally have to implode in every single way possible to lose this. They literally need one game to Boston's 4 games in a row. And I know that, I posed this question because my dad and I were having this conversation actually a couple days ago. And we were saying it's so weird how teams win 4 games in a row all the time to sweep. But when it's in reverse and you have to win 4 games in a row to
save your season,
to avoid a sweep, it's
good.
virtually impossible to do it. It's a weird, like, psychological thing of the mind. And in this situation, it's even weirder because, yeah, you can say, well, usually a team that sweeps is the better team, which, okay, I can agree with that. But it's still a very weird thing to me that we see it happen. Teams, it is possible to win 4 games in a row, but it seems it's virtually impossible to do it when you're down. And in this situation, it's even weirder because Boston, for all intents and purposes, is the more talented basketball team. So this is weird that a team that is on the verge or was on the verge of being swept is actually the more talented team, and the team that was on the verge of sweeping them is the better coach team but not the more talented team. This is a very weird, like, equation. But I say all that to say I don't think that we're going to see a miracle. We're not going to see history happen in the next few days. I think that it's over in 6. I think that they have the momentum in their favor. I think that Boston crowd's going to be insane. And I think they're going to get another one. They're going to avoid the sweep. They're going to make it interesting. The storylines will be there, but it's not going to be what people think it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Brandon, did you have something to add? Because I have a question.
No, go ahead.
Because I want to ask about the superstar duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, right? Like, what happens if they get sent home this year? And I wanted to ask you guys, too, like, of these 3 teams, because what they're saying is this was, like, the best put-together Celtics team they've had out of the 3 that have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and, at last year, of course, the finals that the Celtics have had. So what does that mean for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? We was talking about this earlier. Jaylen Brown, he might not want to be there, any longer. What do they do with the duo if they're eliminated this year?
I mean, it's hard to walk away from $295 million. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
While I think, remember, he has another year on his deal, so he would have to force a trade.
Can you break that down for the people when you say it's hard to walk away from $295 million?
I mean, it's $295 million.
I know, but can you explain, like, why?
So basically, Jaylen and Jason both made All-NBA. And what I guess their contract allows, or actually how the NBA is constructed, is that goes ahead and makes you eligible for the Supermax, which is why the situation with John Morant was such a big deal, because him being, excluded from that list cost him not only a $40 million bonus, but also cost him a potential Supermax.
That's right.
You have Jaylen Brown and you have Jason Tatum, both eligible for a Supermax. Jason Tatum's, I believe, is like baseball money, $325. And then I think Jaylen's is $295. So it's hard to walk away from that. Like, that's a lot of cash. That's a whole lot of money. That's baseball money.
Yeah.
So while I do think that there may be an issue with this tandem,
It's hard.
It's hard to walk away from that. You kind of try to make a situation work for that kind of cash. You know what I mean?
And what you brought up earlier, Corey, was basically, Brown wanting to move on. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, look, bro, I know you don't like the city of Boston. I don't think it's the organization. I don't think it's his teammates. It's kind of like
it's a city, yeah.
It's the city. And what he's talking about is the racial tension and the challenges around. Like, again, he was one of the players that was on the front line in a pandemic that was marching when we're in the middle of a global pandemic. But I came out and said, like, I'm with you, bro. Stay there. Get the bread, right? Because, like, a lot of people say, well, no, stand on what you stand on and, walk away and make a statement. Hell no. You stay right there in Boston and we can get the job done right there. Yeah. If I'm them, I stick to the script, hold it together, right? Because they have a really good team. Now, is Smart the answer? Maybe not. Maybe they need to add another piece. But there's so much help me out here. Parity. There's so much parity in the NBA today, where teams like this that have a great core that's been in the organization for some years together. To me, they have the bigger opportunity than these teams that are throwing money at the situation or trying to make trades like the Suns and there's other teams out there just trying to throw teams together. Like, stick together, maybe find one more person that can come in and help you get there, because there's so many opportunities now that the big three has imploded in the NBA.
It will be interesting though to see, after this disastrous, I won't say disastrous, this underwhelming playoff season for the Boston Celtics. It would be interesting, though, if that organization is even inclined to pay the both of them. That's a lot of money to give two players when you have seen instances of them struggling to go ahead and go all the way together. That's over $500 million that you would be owing to two players who you have seen get close, but not close enough. $500 million, over $500 million means I want a championship now.
Right. I don't know about that. No, that's the market.
If you are paying two players in your organization, that is not to don't worry. A championship in a few years. We got I want one now.
Eastern Conference Finals. How many times have they been in the Eastern Conference Finals?
This is their back-to-back appearance.
So isn't it 3 and 5?
It's 3 in the last 4. So 5.
And how many
that's
times
what you want as an organization. Yes, I hear what you're saying. Yes, everybody wants to win a championship. Not everybody is capable of winning a championship or constructed in a way to win a championship. But the Boston Celtics, all you want is an opportunity. And
not for over $500 million.
What's the outcome? Dame Lillard's phenomenal. You paying Dame a lot.
That's one guy.
I know that's one guy, but they're not even close. They haven't even been close in how many years? So I say that because that's what we do in sports. We rush. We try to break it down too fast. Oh, it's not. We didn't. It didn't happen this year. It didn't happen last year. Now let's blow this whole thing up and try to figure it out. No, why don't you go solve the problem? What is the problem? Is it this young coach? Is it that maybe Smart's not the answer? Is it that you need someone else, a bigger, younger guy? Like, what's the answer?
Also think about,
instead outside of blowing up the whole team.
Also think about what you're saying. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4. 3 out of the last. No, it's 3 in 5 years they've been to.
Yeah,
so they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 in 5 years. They've been to the finals in those 5 years once, I believe, right?
With them two
last year.
I'm talking about with this tandem.
Without a superstar. They got star. Yeah, I said it.
Who's not a superstar?
They're a star. Superstar.
Yeah, wait, what are you implying?
You heard what I said, and y'all heard me say this before. You heard me.
So you're implying they have one superstar, one star?
They have no superstars.
Oh,
you're
no
saying
superstars.
the Celtics have no superstars.
They have 0 superstars.
They have 2 stars.
Interesting.
Yes, there's levels to it. There's elite, there's superstar, there's star, there's really good players.
Yes. Tatum.
Yes.
Was he not?
Y'all the ones that put Jamal Murray into the elite status. That came out of your mouth, Ashley.
We didn't say superstar.
I didn't say he was. Right? You never heard me say Jamal Murray was a superstar.
You said he was elite.
But elite doesn't mean you're a superstar. It just means you're elite at your position.
You can't throw around that word like that.
Well, no, look, I have
He's a
two
top
things for you
10
guys.
point guard. That makes him elite. You're top 10 of all the point guards in the NBA. Over 400 players in the NBA, you are in the top 10. That means
that doesn't make you elite.
How does that not make you elite? There's only 10.
No, that's really good. You're really good. You're really good.
So a top 10 player is not elite?
No, you're not elite being top 10. If you get top 5 now, we talking top 10.
Out of over 400 players. Out of 400
7, 8, 9, 10 rotates.
So you're telling me out of 400 players in the NBA, if you are a top 10 player or top 10 in your position, that doesn't make you elite?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
What does that make you?
That makes you really good.
So you're just basically reserving. You're reserving elite literally for just the top tier players.
Yes,
like top 1,
yes.
Top
like
1
we talk
and 2.
about elite.
Okay.
You gonna use that name? But let's get back to it though, because you perked up a little bit. Like, oh my goodness, you 2 superstars. Where you want to take this conversation?
You don't think Jason Tatum's a superstar?
Yeah, that's
do.
Yes.
What makes him a superstar?
What do you mean? We're not just talking about his impact in the game. A superstar transcends the game. Jason Tatum has signature shoes. He has commercials. His face is on bags of ruffles and lays. I mean, it's Jason Tatum. Like he's a superstar. You can't turn on a TV during the NBA season and not see his face somewhere. Like,
okay,
how
now
are
we're
we
talking
not...
about off the field. He's a brandable guy. 100%. And no disrespect, no shade to him. Like, I respect him a lot, and I love his game. But we throw around these big terms all the time. GOAT. We talk, what does GOAT mean? But now we got 20 different GOATs in every sport. I thought there was one GOAT. And if y'all want to break it down per position, we can do the GOAT of this position. But we can't say there's 5 NBA GOATs. We can't do that. And then we talk about elite. We talk about superstar. Superstar, yes, Ashley, that when you talk about off the court, off the field, those things, you need to account for those things. I'm talking about on the court, right? Now, I just said don't blow up this team. But if he was a superstar, they would have advanced to the finals. At least one out of those 3 times superstar.
Is basketball no longer a team sport? And they were in the finals.
They advanced last year.
KD.
They were in the finals last year. They faced the Warriors.
Oh, my goodness. You going to count last year?
Yeah, why not?
Did they not go to the finals last year?
You going to count last year? You going to count that? You gonna count that?
I'm so confused of what you're saying. So them going to the finals last year doesn't count.
It does count. But he's not a superstar.
Well, look,
he's not a superstar.
Is Luka a superstar?
Luka is a superstar.
But Luka hasn't won
Luka's
anything.
a superstar.
Luka hasn't gone to the finals.
Luka doesn't
Last
have.
time I checked, Luka's never even seen an NBA finals. Last time I checked, Luka's never even seen a Western Conference
finals. Is he not a superstar?
But you just contradicted yourself.
I did not contradict myself. I
contradicted
myself because I was speaking too fast when I said about not making it to the finals, okay? That's where I contradicted myself, speaking too fast. But now we're talking about individuals. He has Jaylen Brown on his side. Who did Luka have? Porzingis?
Okay, you're definitely not making any sense.
The year
now.
He went to the Western Conference Finals, he had Jaylen Brunson.
I'm talking about Luka.
But I want to bring us back to Jason Brown.
No, because I'm talking about Luka. Let's stay right here and then we can get back there. All right, you're saying Luka's not a superstar?
I'm saying Luka is a superstar, but I'm saying your argument on why Jason Tatum is not a superstar is a contradiction as to why you say Luka is a superstar. You're saying, well, if Jason Tatum was a superstar, then he would have went and won the finals. But last time I checked,
I didn't say win the finals. I said he would advance. That's what I said.
Well, he did advance.
I know, and I contradicted. I was speaking too fast. I was speaking too fast.
So now
you got me there.
So now that you remember that Jason Tatum went to the finals.
He's not a superstar.
How is he not a superstar and Luka's a superstar?
He's not a superstar.
So what makes Luka a superstar and Jason Tatum not?
He disappears sometimes.
What has Luka done in his resume that puts him so far above Jason Tatum that he is a superstar, but Jason Tatum's not?
He's doing too much. We're talking about Luka being potentially the face of the NBA. Like, if they didn't have a terrible team, he could have been deemed the face of the NBA this year. Now he got to wait another year. Luka is unstoppable. That's the problem with Luka, is that he's asked to do too much. Look what he's been able to do with this Mavericks team by himself. You get this dude some help, and we ain't talking about, go make a trade at the trade deadline, go get Kyrie and try to figure it out in 20 games. You get him some real help, that team can't be beat. That's how I look at that.
All right.
Again, you're not answering why. And correction.
I just said he disappears.
Luka did make a conference finals. It was the year that the Mavericks faced the Warriors. So that was a correction on my part.
Mm-hmm. That was an overachievement, but go ahead.
I'm still not understanding how you can put Luka in the superstar conversation, but not Jason Tatum, when Jason Tatum is arguably the best player on his team, and he is the Boston Celtics. He is the face of that organization.
That doesn't make you a superstar.
He is the franchise. And let's not talk about how he's already transcended the game at 24 years old outside of the sport.
What do you mean by transcended the game?
How many commercials have you seen Luka in?
Oh, that's what you're talking about, off the court.
But I'm saying that goes to the superstar argument. Yes. Does Jason Tatum have things that he has to improve in his game? Yes. Does he have things that he has to achieve in his career? Yes. But there are so many facets of what makes somebody a superstar, and I don't understand how you can give that to Luka, but then take that away from Jason Tatum, when if we're going to go ahead and weigh apples to apples, Jason Tatum has accomplished more in his career thus far than Luka has.
Okay. All right, so this is how I'm going to look at it. This is how I'm going to break it down. Joel Embiid, all right? Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Joker, Nikola Jokic, is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Luka, Ja Morant. Is Ja Morant a superstar? Dame Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James. I still have LeBron James in that status. Jason Tatum, I think he's borderline. He's borderline. Like,
Wait,
you got to tell me. You got to tell me.
How are you putting Ja Morant as a superstar, but not Jason Tatum?
Ja Morant's not a superstar?
But I'm not saying he's not. What I'm saying is how are you putting him in the superstar conversation, but not Jason Tatum? Has Ja Morant been to a finals? Has Ja Morant been to a conference finals?
I just don't have him.
What I'm saying is I don't understand what the scale is.
Jason Tatum has cemented himself in Celtic history.
Like, what is the scale of what a superstar is? Because you're naming guys who I agree are superstars, but they haven't accomplished an ounce of what Jason Tatum has accomplished, and yet you're still giving Jason Tatum, you're on the cusp, you're not there yet, but you're giving guys who don't have a fraction of his accolades you're thrusting them into superstar status. I'm confused.
Did I say Joel Embiid? I said Joel Embiid. He just hasn't made the cut. He hasn't made, maybe if he be the first one, he leads his team to be the first team to overcome an 0-3 deficit, he'd become a superstar.
Why does that have to make, okay, I'm still, hold on, Corey.
That's it.
Why does that have to make Jason Tatum a superstar, but Ja Morant is already a superstar?
Ja Morant is a human highlight.
What makes
Ja Morant is a human highlight?
What makes Ja Morant a superstar, but not Jason Tatum?
Let's just say what 50 in the playoffs.
What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? He disappears in some of the biggest moments, and he's done that the first 5, 6, 7 years of his career.
What has Ja Morant done in his career?
Highlight.
So we're just talking about regular season.
He's a human highlight.
So we're just talking about what he does in the regular. So his highlight reel.
None of them are champions.
So, but that goes against your argument.
No, that was just one part of the argument.
But then why does that same criteria not apply to Jason Tatum? Last time I checked, Game 7 of the 76ers series, didn't he drop 51 points?
He
holds multiple records in Boston already, and he's 24 years old.
What does Jason Tatum do that Ja can't or Luka can't?
That's not the argument. What my argument is that you're putting Luka and Ja Morant in the superstar conversation, and I'm not going to go ahead and argue that. What I'm arguing is the criteria in which you're putting them in, the criteria in which you say they meet in order to meet that superstar conversation. Jason Tatum meets that, yet it's not good enough. He's not a superstar to you, and I'm not understanding why.
I just told you, he's just not a superstar to me, and I think y'all throw that around too much. Y'all throw around elite. Y'all use the word GOAT. Y'all use the term superstar way too much. To me, there's only a handful of superstars. That's it.
So Ja Morant's a superstar to you, but Jason Tatum's not.
Ja Morant is definitely a superstar.
Because he's a human highlight reel.
He's a human. That
makes him a superstar.
That's right.
All right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense.
We're gonna shelve the superstar.
That's why I was going to ask you. I asked you, what does your boy Tatum do that Ja and Luka can't
Tatum has been to multiple Eastern Conference Finals. He's been to NBA Finals.
He's in one of the best. He's in a well-ran organization. Has some of the best coaches over the last 5 years.
Oh my God, that leads me into my next point, into where I want to take this conversation. I want to go back to the situation that they're dealing with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You just made the point. For the last 3 to 5 years, you can argue that they've had great role players and great coaching around them. You made the point earlier that they're looking at their super max contract deals.
Yeah.
My thing is, moving forward, you keep Jason Brown.
It's going to be hard.
Of course, me combining their names. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown together, how can you build these teams that they've been having all of this success with around them if you pay those guys those contracts? That's my first question.
You won't.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the problem. And that's what Boston's going to have to try to figure out is the issue with the Supermax is when you have one guy who's eligible, it's hard to build a team around him, but it's possible. Mm-hmm. When you have two guys who are eligible, that's a lot of cash that you are required to be given to two people when it's a team sport. Mm-hmm. And we can go back to the Brooklyn Nets, and Brandon knows this well since that's one of his many teams. When they had to pay James Harden, when they had to pay Kevin Durant, and when they had to pay Kyrie Irving all that money, they were extremely top heavy. So what that does, it makes you reliant on three people. If something happens to one of those three, which it did, the entire team crumbles because there's nothing else to go ahead. There's no supporting cast. There's no bench. There's no depth. It's hard to win a championship like that.
How many games did Michael Jordan miss? Like, why we keep talking about this? Like, that's your job. You get an ankle sprain in the NBA. Yeah. Like, come on. We keep talking about if this guy goes down, that guy goes. Come on, how many games did Kobe Bryant miss? How many games did LeBron James miss?
Yeah. You're missing the point that the Chicago Bulls had Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr.
And Michael Jordan.
They had a deep team, and also, Brandon, the money was drastically different. Guys weren't making nearly as much. Michael Jordan was not making nearly as much money
but
as
if you
Jason
take Michael
Tatum's
Jordan
eligible.
out of that lineup, they're just an average team. Where do you have the Bulls if you take Michael Jordan out of that lineup?
We're not arguing that.
I know,
You still
but what I'm
need
saying
superstars to win.
Yeah, I just hate the whole conversation around you can't just invest in 2 or 3 guys. Like that is basketball.
No, it's not. Oh my God, we're not.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's put the best NCAA basketball players on one team. All right. So on this team right here, you have the best 5 college basketball players. And then on this team, you take the best 4, take 4 high school phenoms.
So
and you put KD on that team. Nope. The 5th is KD. The 5th is Luka. The 5th is Morant. I'm putting my money on that high school team.
No, you're not, really?
Yes, I am. Because superstars mean.
Are they 5-star like high school guys?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm just saying in the NBA, like in other sports,
that's wild.
It's extremely hard for one guy to determine the outcome of a game. In the NBA, a hot Steph Curry, like we're talking about heater.
Yeah.
No one beats him.
Yeah.
Really?
Game 7 against the Kings. Game 7 against the Kings, 50
Really?
points.
You just seen that, a couple times this year in the postseason.
Steph Curry had 40 points in the game against the Lakers, and you know what happened? They went 1-2-3 Cancun. You cannot win with one person. You saw that with your Phoenix Suns. You cannot win with 1 to 2 guys. Basketball is a team sport for a reason. In the playoffs, the game slows down. The game is more aggressive. Refs let you play. So for you to have this ideology that all you need is one superstar, and you keep throwing around the example of Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan had an incredible basketball team, doesn't make any sense to me. And Michael Jordan was not making Jason Tatum money. The money was drastically different. He had a complete team. So yes, you take Jordan out of the equation, they're not winning championships. But if you take everybody else around him, Jordan was not winning those chips by himself. We need to stop this. It's a team sport.
So all right. First it was team. And then they blame LeBron for putting together the big 3, which the big 3 existed before LeBron James. Let's be clear there. But the trend was we need a big 3 to win. Mm-hmm. I used the word and I chopped it up at the beginning, parody. There's so much more parity in the NBA now. Why? Because there are teams, right? Like people have teams, like the Kings. The Kings play really well together. They had a phenomenal year. Yeah. Even the Nuggets. The Nuggets, yes, they have a superstar in Joker, but Ashley, you've been talking about, they're a really good team. Even the Celtics, they're a really good team. Yeah. They play on both ends of the court. They play defense. There's not too many guys in the NBA that play defense like they play defense. So I bring that up because if the trend for 15 years was, oh, we're good with 2 to 3 guys that can get us there, and we've seen that year after year after year, why can't a team do that now when the trend has shifted to let's build from within, let's build out the team? So you mean to tell me if you take 2 or 3 of the greatest?
When was that ever the trend? You're talking about
the big 3 was never a trend.
But okay, yes, there was a big 3, but also you're ignoring the rest of that team. They weren't. It wasn't just Bosh, LeBron, and D Wade. They had a decent supporting cast. You cannot. Even the Warriors on all their championship runs, they had a really solid supporting cast. You look at the Boston Celtics and their big 3. The only teams that totally took that formula and destroyed it were teams like the Brooklyn Nets, who thought that KD, James Harden, and Kyrie was going to be enough, and they didn't have to worry about anything else. You saw it again in Phoenix. They traded away their entire bench for Kevin Durant, and what happened? Absolutely nothing. You're ignoring the fact that, yes, superstars matter, but a supporting cast and a bench matters, and the best teams in history had superstars, whether 1, 2, or 3, but they also had a great supporting cast, and that is why they won. It's not a new formula. That's always been the case. Always.
Christy says, B. Marsh, why are you hating on my Celtics? Christy, I'm sorry that it's coming off that way. I think they're really good players. I think it's a really well ran organization. I just think they just need to add a superstar, Christy. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
they have one. It's Jason Tatum. I'm not gonna let him disrespect you, Tatum. His whole ideology and criteria, what makes a superstar. John Morant, Luka here, but Jason Tatum down here.
I didn't put him down there. I said it's borderline. I said it's right here.
It's not borderline.
I said it's right here.
They're the same. If anything, Jason Tatum's above John Morant.
I got one last question though before we move on. You know, Jaylen Brown. He's obviously looking at the bag, the Supermax contract. Don't you guys think he probably would want to go somewhere and be the man? You don't think that's in the back of his head? Parting ways with Jason Tatum and being the number one guy somewhere?
Brandon?
No, I don't. He doesn't come off as that type of guy, and I don't even think he's the type of player that can carry a team. Like I don't have him as a superstar. Am I?
Jaylen Brown?
Yeah.
I feel like we just don't know because he's been a number two guy.
No, I feel like you can't really make that assessment based on his tenure, and I would say he's not right now.
Yeah. I think he's right where he needs to be. I think he's a phenomenal player, and him leaving to go build a legacy around I did this, I don't think that would be wise, and that doesn't even seem like that's the type of guy he is. You know, I think he knows who he is, and he's just looking for a situation that fits him. On the court, I think this is a great situation for him. Off the court, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Did you just say I did this? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that? What do you mean by you did that?
Well, you said, Jaylen leaving.
Yeah.
Him leaving and saying, I did this, meaning I took this team, this bum team,
right.
and took them to the playoffs or got them into the finals. We won a championship. I don't think that's his mindset.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you was referring to like an experience of your own. That's why I asked.
I never had that experience.
Oh, okay,
in football, it's hard in football.
Yeah.
You got, hey, listen, 11 dudes on offense. One dude mess up, boom, the whole play is dead. Offensive coordinator put you in a terrible position. He a slow blinker. He don't know how to call it.
Yeah.
You don't got no chance. You go into games in football knowing there's games you literally go in and say, we have no chance. In basketball, you give me a superstar, we always got a chance.
Always.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You give me a John Morant or Luka?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. Look. No,
I'm
we
not.
good.
I'm not.
We shoving the superstar conversation.
I absolutely refuse. I won't do it.
Ashley, how wild am I?
I won't do it. I refuse. I won't do it. I won't do
Something
it.
on this hump.
Ashley, like this guy.
I won't do it.
My goodness.
I won't do it.
All right, we're going to switch gears to football.
Thank
Yesterday,
you. Thank
Tuesday,
you, God.
Yesterday, Bills head coach Sean McDermott spoke to the media about quarterback Josh Allen, and basically he had some things to say about just where his progress is up until this point. We have a clip from that press conference too. Let's take a look.
Overall, I just think that Josh taking his game to another level really means, being a great decision maker. We've talked about before this offseason, and it's been talked about, adjusting his style of play enough to keep himself healthy and to play smarter at times as well. And then I just think the overall approach to the game. I've seen a different Josh this offseason. Not that it was bad before, but he's got a new sense of focus, I would say, and determination, which is good.
Brandon, what message would you say Sean McDermott is sending to his quarterback?
We talked about this yesterday. LeBron James, everybody was debating whether or not LeBron was going to retire or should he retire because of his comments in a press conference, right? And what I said was, anytime a player stands in front of a mic or a coach and give a statement, they know exactly what they're saying, right? Because you're so media trained. Every single day you have cameras in your face, men and women on a beat. So they're very strategic and intentional. One of the things that we do on this side of it, in the media, sometimes we'll take a statement like this and break it down, and then we'll look at the coach, like what you just said. You know, what's his message? Well, a lot of times, 99% of the time, what you don't hear is the question. So I'm sure there was some man, some women on the beat that asked him about Josh Allen, right? It was like, yo, because they feel that Josh Allen needs to take the next step, or maybe he needs to do something to get over the hump, right? So that's their agenda, and they're trying to create their little narrative. But the coach has the opportunity to answer that question any way he wants. If I didn't want to answer that question, or if I felt like that could be a little bit disruptive or a distraction to my player or to my team, you'll say, look, Josh Allen's great. And then you move on, right? Because you're media trained. You know what to say. So I feel like first, the person who asked the question is more of their narrative than the coach's. But the coach leaned in and gave a real honest answer. And I think what Coach McDermott did is use this as an opportunity to probably, amplify what he's been telling Josh privately. It's like, look around the league. You got Joe Burrow, Ashley. You got Patrick Mahomes, who has separated himself from everyone else. I am the best quarterback in the NFL. There's no more Tom Brady, the Drew Breeses of the world. All those guys are gone. This new era, I'm leading the new era, right? You have Justin Herbert out there who's quietly just warming up. It seems like he's due to kind of catch up with Patrick Mahomes and throw himself in that conversation of, am I the best guy? So when you see that, Jalen Hurts, a lot of talk about Jalen Hurts. It feels like the Buffalo Bills over the last 3 years, they kind of got into that contender conversation and just chilled right there. And they're missing something to get over the edge. And so I think the coach is using this as an opportunity to amplify what he's saying to him quietly. And if I'm Josh Allen, I'm definitely looking at this year, going into year 6, as the year that I got to kind of separate myself or maybe look at it like I got to catch up to Patrick Mahomes. And this is the year. This is year 6. You're a big boy. You're a big boy now, Ashley. Think about that. Year 5, year 4, year 5, you're still like, okay, you kind of get that confidence and you're figuring it out. You find out who you are. Oh, I belong in this league. Year 6, all right, who are you? What's your legacy going to be? And I think that's what he's asking himself this offseason.
Yep. Ashley, your thoughts on
I just wonder if he is sending a message and saying, what he says to him privately as a quarterback. Does that kind of annoy you? Like, we have these conversations in the locker room or in your office or whatever behind closed doors, and I know how you feel, you know how I feel, we have a level of understanding, and you don't just keep it short and sweet when the public asks you. Are you rubbed the wrong way by that? I don't know how I would personally feel about that.
Yeah, well, personally, Brandon, what do you think Josh Allen needs to do to kind of get over that hump?
One of the comments was protect himself.
Yeah.
Obviously he's been available. He's been available. He hasn't dealt with any big injuries, but it's inevitable if you're going to get out the pocket like that run. He runs, Ashley, Corey, like he's a tight end at times.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's physical. He welcomes the contact. He leans into it. And I think that's one of the things that he has to think about. A lot of times it's not about what do I need to do to get better? Sometimes it's about just sustaining what you already have, right? And just being consistent. And he has to protect himself. He can't afford to miss any games. I also think, there's a power in words, right? So Coach talked about just being smarter, making better decisions. It's not like he's throwing a ton of interceptions, but I think he can be more, what's the word I'm looking for, where you cut somebody up? Quarterback
slice.
Yeah, I'm like with
slice him up.
Yeah, he has an opportunity to be
chop him up.
Yeah, he has
dice him up.
He has an opportunity, whatever the word is. Josh Allen has an opportunity.
Carving him up.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, all right. As you know, we're off. Right. No, but think about Josh Allen. You think about Josh running the ball. You think about Josh making big plays, getting the ball in Diggs' hands. But do you ever see? Do we ever think about Josh Allen in the way of like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning? Meaning, to what you were saying, chopping them up, carving them up. That's not there. Surgical. There it is.
We got it.
There you go. Finally,
word and we hooked.
I think there's an opportunity for Josh to be more surgical, right? He's a big player. He plays with a lot of emotion. Like I was out there, I keep going back to the 7-on-7 thing. He was the dude with the most energy out there, more than cornerbacks, more than wide receiver. He's running all over the field. And right, like there's those quarterbacks like Drew Brees. It's just like I gave y'all the story yesterday where Drew Brees rocked back and forth in a mirror for 30 minutes. And he was just looking at himself. But he's going through every single scenario that could potentially come up on Sunday.
Yeah.
I want to see Josh tap into that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, you talk about the AFC East. It's going to be a physical division, right? So Josh Allen, to your point, he's going to have to worry about staying healthy. But, like, what are your expectations for the Bills? Because, like I mentioned, the Dolphins, they're going to have a tough defense. The Jets, they're going to have a good defense. I mean, they were a top defense last year. And the Patriots, they're always going to be solid. Where do the Bills fall in this AFC East division?
I mean, they're contenders. Ash, I don't know how you feel.
Sure.
I don't know how you feel about.
For sure. I mean, if we had Hop on the show earlier this week, and if they get Hopkins,
they're right where they need.
They're right where they need to be. You know what I mean? So I mean, listen. This is a really, for all of, their shortcomings and all of, the little storylines and the things that people want to make out of nothing and maybe want to blow up to be bigger than what they are, the relationship of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, is it fractured? There was a report that Stephon Diggs isn't showing up for OTAs or, the first week of OTA or OTAs in general.
Yeah, that's what we're going to look
people
to
will
next.
go ahead and, make storylines out of that. But I think that when it comes down to the X's and the O's, this is a really good football team. And if they can go ahead and click on all cylinders, they're a team that you have to look out for. And they're a team that is definitely poised and ready to go all the way. It's just only they can stop themselves from being that team.
Yeah.
Listen, people may get pissed off at me for saying this. Corey, you asked me where do they stack up in the conference. I don't even think they're number one anymore in their division. I think they're 3, right? So think about the AFC East. You have the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and my beloved New York Jets. I give the edge to the Jets, top 5 defense, and Aaron Rodgers. Call me a homer, tell me that I'm being biased, whatever. It makes sense. Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is he done now? If you're telling me he's cooked, that's a different conversation.
I didn't say anything.
Right? They got wide receivers. They got running game. All they're missing is maybe one more healthy piece on the front line, on the offensive line. So I got the Jets at 1 in the division. I have the Miami Dolphins at 2.
Really?
I love the moves they made. Yes, especially bringing in Jaylen.
See, I don't know if I think I push back on that a little bit because if you name your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, who are they?
Okay, let's do that. I'm glad you asked that.
I'm asking you, who are your top 5?
All right, let me get the list out, guys.
No, don't pull a list. I want your list.
All right,
Off the dome.
Off
Patrick
the dome.
Mahomes.
It doesn't have to be in order. Just give me your top 5.
Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Is that 3?
That's 3.
I have Josh Allen there.
Okay, so the 4. So he's a top 5. We'll say he's a top 5 quarterback.
He's top 5 for sure.
So how would
and
you,
Russell Wilson.
So then how would you say that a football team, where would you put Tua? Top 10 or top 15?
Tua last year was top 5, how he played.
I'm asking you, where is he right now in your list? When you think of quarterbacks,
how he played?
Is he top 10?
He was the most efficient quarterback.
But is he top 10 for you?
He's maybe 10.
So he's more like 10. Top 15.
He's closer to 10.
But he's not closer to 10. He's more like top 15.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that, Ashley, is because I'm not high on Tua.
Okay.
But when you look at how he played last year, the numbers don't lie.
The only reason I ask that is because I don't know how you.
So it's not about what I like. So it's not about what I like. It's about what he's doing.
I know, but what I'm saying is I don't know how you would put a team that is led by a quarterback who's not even top 10 above a team that has a top 5 quarterback.
Yep.
For me, that makes a difference. Because they're a talented football team. Don't get me wrong. The Miami Dolphins so talented. They did so well. Offensively scary. But what good is that if you have a quarterback that's not up to par?
Yeah, because,
Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback. We have seen him work miracles.
It's about team. It's about philosophy. It's about it's everything coming together. I do agree with you. The quarterback position is extremely important. Defense is extremely important. A play caller, head coach, all that stuff is important. But we've seen this before. Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl rings. Was Eli Manning during his time, during his heyday, ever a top 10 quarterback? I don't think so.
I mean, don't ask me. I'm a Cowboys fan. You gotta ask somebody who actually likes him.
Right. I think the biggest thing that we have to pay attention to this year around and this is close, Buffalo or the Dolphins. When you're a new head coach and you have a new offense, everybody's always hesitant. They don't know what to do.
I don't know if I would
the second year around with Coach, was it Mike McDaniels? Mm-hmm. Like now people have a whole year of film to break down and study.
Hot take though, I don't know if I would put Tua in the same conversation of who Eli Manning was when he won those Super Bowls. Like, yeah, he wasn't his brother. He wasn't, the sexiest quarterback. He probably wasn't even a top 5 quarterback. But he did what he needed to win football games. Like
and so did Tua last year and the year before.
I get but also he was a reliable quarterback. Like you knew he was going to be there on Sundays. You knew he was going to be there on Mondays.
I'll tell you what, Eli Manning in the playoffs was like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs too.
Like I'm not putting Eli and Tua in the same conversation. In the years that Eli won those Super Bowls, I don't think that's the same.
All right, I
don't think you can make that argument.
Okay, cool. Okay, fair, Ashley. Let's go through. We just celebrated and had Super Bowl 57. Patrick Mahomes, MVP, won that Super Bowl. All right, let's go through some of the past Super Bowl winners and, didn't have like elite quarterbacks. See where they may fall. Nick Foles, Philadelphia, Super Bowl 52. I'm acting like Gilly. That's how Gilly be.
Okay, well, that's also an anomaly.
Then you got Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, yeah, but I'm not trying to argue with you. I argue with you enough on the basketball stuff for the rest of the week.
Though, because Nick Foles got there on the work that Carson Wentz did in the regular season.
But he played phenomenal.
I agree with you, but that was also that's a weird situation.
It's not weird because this is not like the NBA where you got series, right? 7-game series and you have multiple games. No, it's like one and done. He had to play phenomenal every single game.
I agree.
Or do his job, I would say. Because he threw some 50-50 balls. There was a lot of luck on the shot.
He had to just do his job.
But you got Nick Foles. You have Joe Flacco.
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford. He's top 10.
Yeah,
Matt Stafford.
I mean, at the time he was.
You got Eli. Ooh, Ashley, we got to go to Super Bowl 37. Might be going too far back. Brad Johnson. But then you got the Trent Dilfers of the world. Right. Kurt Warner played phenomenal. So basically what I'm saying is, because the list is filled with like legendary quarterbacks, right? Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady again, Nick Foles, Tom Brady again, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, you know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger. So there are some legendary quarterbacks, but basically I'm using that as an example to show that Tua, with everything that he has around him, can get it done.
I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just saying right now, I don't know if I would put the Dolphins over the Bills and Tua be my reason why.
Well, okay.
That's the only reason. I'd still put the Bills over him. That was the only argument that I was making.
Okay.
And also Russell Wilson, top 5. Like, I know that's your boy, but like, damn.
Oh, now crazy. That was delayed. I tried to give you a layup.
That's so crazy. I had to answer the question at hand, but top 5, are you for real? Or are you just being funny?
Look, you remember everything.
Top 5?
I'm off that. You still on that?
Top 5, Russell Wilson.
Let me give y'all a life lesson right now. And this is Brandon Marshall sitting with Astrodamus. Ask her what that means in the chat. She'll let you know.
Top 5. That's
we
crazy.
have Corey in the cut. We have Woo in the West. Sure. BC in the booth.
There we go.
And then I added one.
What's up, bro?
Mysterious Manderville.
We don't know where he is
because he's never going to be on camera. BC, throw up your video real quick because I know Manderville's back there and he's going to try to duck. See if we can get a look at Manderville real quick. Throw it up, BC.
It's
no
too
video.
Late. Oh,
dang.
Manderville.
Oh man.
We don't have any video today on BC or Manderville.
Oh, no video. This is YouTube. We're here Monday through Thursday. We're also on Sirius XM. Faction Talk, channel 103. So big shout out to SiriusXM. You guys can listen to us when you're driving, or you want to go back and listen to me cook Ashley Nicole Moss when it comes to basketball. I read the chat. I read the mess. Brandon don't watch no basketball. You hear what they're saying about me? Brandon don't watch no basketball.
Anything, no.
You read? Do you read this?
I can't.
Tell these people. Defend me.
What do you want me to defend?
Tell these people how much basketball I know. Look in this camera. Give Ashley Nicole Moss a single shot, and you defend your partner.
Crickets. Dang,
You're
crickets.
Ashley,
that's crazy. I thought she was gonna do right by you.
They do like your hat today.
they do like my hat. They don't like my
nice.
basketball tape.
They love your hat.
How am I doing in football, guys?
And their shirt. They're a big fan of your outfit today.
Oh, Hove. Yes, sir. You see it.
They're a big fan
you
of the
see
fit
it.
I
today.
didn't realize.
Hey, no, but for real, though, y'all going to get off me on my basketball talk. That's the problem. The problem is this, Ashley, and even with you guys. You guys discriminate on football players talking basketball. That's the problem. Oh,
I
because
discriminate?
So anybody else, Stephen A. Smith can talk basketball. Michael Wilbon can talk basketball. And all these other people can talk basketball that never even played basketball for real. I think Stephen A. may have played some basketball. I grew up playing basketball. Or why we can't talk about basketball? Why can't I watch and
I
get
never
my
said you
analysis and my
couldn't talk
tape?
about basketball. Do not lump me in with what social media says. That's not what. That is
Hey,
not
I'm
what
gonna be real
I said.
though. I'm gonna be real. I was being a little combative, and I was just trying to get messy a little bit. I do believe that Tatum is not a superstar. Like I think he's on the cusp. Okay.
I'm not going. I'm not.
But you had me when I was like, yeah, if one 3 out of those 5 he advanced to the finals. And you were like, he did.
last year. Literally last year.
I was like, yeah, I was talking too fast.
Hey, at least you acknowledge it though. At least you acknowledge it.
Right.
The chat wants to know where you got your hat from.
Yeah.
On the streets of in the street of New York. Actually, I was coming out the Soho House in Meatpacking, one of those little street vendors. No. I always buy stuff off the street in Soho or right those where the Apple store is. Mm-hmm. This was actually in LA at the not the Beverly. What's that outside mall?
Fairfax?
No, not the Galleria.
The Grove.
The Grove.
Yeah, I don't see the one that's right in the middle.
It was a little, they had a little booth outside of one of the stores. I was coming out of Zara. Yes, I do know high-low. I'm with you on the high-low. Okay. And I saw this hat and I grabbed it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, it was a great pickup.
That's a great pickup?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Corey.
So hold on. We gotta go here, right? It doesn't matter. I remember what you asked me, and I got off on a tangent, but we can move on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Ben Roethlisberger, he was in the news again yesterday. Recently on his podcast, Footballing with Roethlisberger, the Steelers legend told second-year quarterback who was a guest on his show, Kenny Pickett, that he didn't want him to do well when he first took over as the Steelers quarterback. And, Kenny Pickett, he appreciated his honesty, but this is also what he said kind of in reaction. He's like, he's a fan now, and he's pulling for us. It was pretty cool to hear him say that and to be at his house and to meet his kids and his wife and get to know him a little better. We'll continue to build that relationship, and I'll reach out if I have any questions, and I'm excited to go into year 2 with another guy in my corner pulling for me. Brandon, when you heard this, though, right, Ben Roethlisberger's, thoughts on Kenny Pickett when he first started, what did you think?
It's so ugly.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me start with this. Let me reverse engineer. Shout out to Big Ben for being real and honest and apologizing. Why are you making that face?
I'm not. I'm listening.
Because, like, a lot of people don't do that. We all feel certain things. You know what I mean? Some people have, jealous tendencies. Some people envy. You know what I mean? Some people hate. Not too many people would acknowledge that, those things come up or they feel a certain way. So shout out to Big Ben for doing that publicly, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad they got together. But when I first heard it, I was like, oh, cool, whatever. And then that, started to, like, sit with it. I'm like, man, that sucks for Kenny Pickett.
Right.
And I actually feel bad for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization because Big Ben had a legendary run. Like, you were done. They were calling you Noodle Arm. Like, I forgot what they used to call him, like Ben Roethlisberger, something like with noodles. Like, he was shot. And so there's only a few guys that really become a part of the organization, right? They'll say to you, oh, you're always a giant. Oh, you're always a Jet. Oh, once a Bronco, always a Bronco. Nah, there's only a few players that really become the organization, like the Tom Bradys of the world, right? The Troy Aikmans, the Emmitt Smiths, those type of guys. Larry Fitzgerald, right? And I can go on and on and on. But not every Jet is created equal. Not every Giant is created equal. So Ben Roethlisberger, like, you are a part of this organization forever. And you would expect that a guy like that will actually want to lead the organization better and actually invest to make sure that they continue to thrive. So boom, Ben Roethlisberger's he retires. Maybe he's forced to retire. They go and draft Kenny Pickett, who they really liked, who was in their backyard, played for Pitt. So they actually shared a facility. So when you say you don't know, oh, I didn't know how good you were. You seen him every day in the cafeteria, bro. Right? You know who this guy is. You're reading the local paper. The same reporters that's covering them, they're covering you. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing this. So for me, Kenny Pickett, the one person that he needed last year to help him navigate through this experience of being the face of a franchise or potential face of a franchise and a starting quarterback was Ben Roethlisberger. More than his quarterback coach, more than Coach Tomlin. Hell, I don't give a damn if Drew Brees tried to mentor him. This is Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback, face of the Steelers for so many years. You can tell me the ins and outs of the facility, of the people who's been working here for 20, 30 years. And so I feel bad for Kenny Pickett. I'm not surprised because Big Ben has shown these selfish tendencies his entire career. Maybe things are changing because he apologized to him publicly. You know, but this kid right here definitely has the upside to be a star at Ashley, and hopefully this isn't the last time he's sitting at Big Ben Roethlisberger's table picking his brain.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I just think it's such an ugly character trait to have, to pray for somebody's downfall. I mean, this is not your peer. This is, in all intents and purposes, in comparison to you, this is a kid. Like, you're praying that a kid doesn't do well because your time has come to an end. Like, It's ugly. This is not, we're not talking about two 20-something-year-olds who are in a quarterback competition at training camp. And you're like, nah, I want this more than he does. And, I want to do better. Like, we're not talking about your peer. Your chapter was beyond closed. There was nothing left for you. And the new era comes in. And instead of embracing that, and saying, I had one hell of a run in Pittsburgh. I'm a legend in Pittsburgh. I'm a legend in the Steelers organization. Instead of that being enough, you don't want some kid, a 20-something-year-old kid coming in to do well because you're bitter. It's ugly. It's an ugly character trait to have. I'll never understand how people can just have that like malice and just that ugliness in their spirit to not want someone to do well because their time has come to an end. I just can't understand that. And it's even weirder when it's not a direct, it's even weirder to me when it's not a direct competitor. I can understand people get competitive and jealousy takes over, and I get that. But when it's not direct competition,
right.
When it's so far removed from where you are in your life to where he is in his life, we're not talking about people who are like in the same chapter. You're here, Ben. He's here.
Right.
His football career is just beginning. Yours is so far done when it comes to being an active player. And you can't help usher in the next generation to an organization that you claim to love so much.
And that's not
I hear the apology, but Kenny, you're better than me. Because I would have been like, listen, I appreciate it, but we don't have to have a relationship. I wouldn't have gone to that man's house.
Right.
Oh. There's no reason for us to break bread. I already know what type of dude you are. Like, that just is a character. I'm cool. I appreciate the apology, but I'm good.
Ashley, and also this too, where it sounds wild, but that is so counterculture to sports, right? Meaning not helping guys out. Dudes get drafted. You'll get drafted to take a guy's spot, and that guy will turn around and still give you all the keys.
Yeah.
Right? Will spend time with you, especially if you ask him. Yeah, young man, let me show you. Boom. Right? Because you already know the game. The game is soon as you get drafted, they're trying to replace your ass right away. That's the game. Year one, they're trying to replace you. Okay? Definitely after your first contract. So you already know that. And so the best thing to do is to give back. That's what we do naturally. Think about what's happened over the last 5 years. And maybe it's been going on longer, but because of social media, we can see this stuff more. But you have tight end U, defensive end, DN, defensive end U. I don't know what Von Miller calls his, but Von Miller gets all the pass rushers together and teaches him his traits, his tricks, and his little tools. Yeah. And they share information. They're competing against each other, and they do this. So for Big Ben to show this, it says a lot. But he apologized.
Just because you apologize doesn't mean that a relationship has to continue. I appreciate the apology.
Forgiveness.
And forgiveness is not for you, it's for me. Like, I forgive what you said about me. I forgive how you felt about me. It doesn't mean we have to be friends. Doesn't mean we have to be homies. Doesn't mean you have to have a place in my life. Forgiveness just opens the door to move on.
But there is
a difference between being competitive and being a hater. And there's nothing worse than a hater.
I know.
And I don't know if I'm Kenny Pickett, do I even want the leadership and the mentorship of a hater? You're a hater. You're mad because the next guy came in and the next guy wasn't even a direct threat to you. Your career is over.
Done.
But you're mad at me because now I'm next up. That makes you a hater, Big Ben. You are a hater. Kenny, you're better than me. I wouldn't want that man's energy anywhere near me. That's ugly. Brett Favre did that to Aaron Rodgers. We've seen Ryan Tannehill talk about Malik Willis that. You are a hater, and it's whack and it's corny, and I got nothing else for him. I don't like that.
Okay, I guess we can move on. She said, I got goosebumps.
I don't like
saying that's really
there's
good.
nothing worse. There's nothing that I hate more or dislike. I won't say hate. There's nothing that I dislike more in this life than a hater.
So
there's nothing worse than a hater.
So do me a favor.
And a man hating at that.
She said what she said.
So do me a favor.
What Jay-Z say?
No, do me a favor.
What's the favor?
You're not even listening.
I'm listening. What's the favor?
Look into this camera and tell all them haters out there in the chat my basketball takes. Just tell them stop hating on me. You a hater. She's a hater.
I know, right? On that note.
You're a hater. She don't want me to live. Ashley don't want me to live.
Oh, that's too funny. All right, moving on, y'all. Moving on. Adrian Peterson, not done yet. Former All-Pro running back Adrian Peterson says he's not calling it quits yet. This is what he said. He says, my mindset, from football.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's the question. From what? Football. He says, my mindset is, if God willing, maybe an opportunity presents itself, and maybe it happens this season. I'll go from there. But if nothing happens this season, for sure, I will be hanging it up. He hasn't played football since 2021. So that's, of course, wishful thinking there. But, I mean, he's an all-time great. I wanted to ask you guys, where do you place Adrian Peterson on, like, the all-time running back list at the position?
Before we do that, let me respond first to
the way he said
his tweet or whatever that was.
Go ahead.
I don't know if he's on a podcast or not, because everybody got a podcast now. We're podcasters. We got a podcast. They be like, yo, B, I be flying. They be like, what you do for a living now? What you doing? I be podcasting.
You were like, when you go to Thanksgiving with your family, so how's work? What do you do now? Podcasting. That's cute.
That's nice. That's fun.
That's like, but podcasting now is not as bad. But like back in the day when you were like one of the first people podcasting, they were like, oh, this motherfucker don't even have a job.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, what do you now? It's like, what do you do? I'm an influencer.
Right.
I'm a content creator. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Johnny, she don't have a job.
People getting bags though. Podcasters and influencers getting big bags.
No facts, but you know your old relatives don't know what that is.
I know. Look, if anybody can do it, Adrian Peterson can. The way he takes care of his body, his passion, his love, still for the game, it's there. He hasn't wavered. So if anybody can, AP can. We seen this dude bounce back from an ACL quickly and go for 2,000 yards. He's a freak. Now, if you're expecting Adrian Peterson to be a guy that can tote it 15, 20 times a game, 25 times a game, then you're out of your mind. If he thinks that, he's out of his mind. But I absolutely think Adrian Peterson is an asset to a few teams.
Yeah.
He can be. Because what you want is, I'll put leadership to the side, because we talked about this a few weeks ago with guys like the Hasms of the world and the PJ Tuckers of the world. He's a guy like that, right? Where when he walks into the room, people look up in awe. Like, that's AP. I grew up playing
Real
with
ones
you
call
on
him
Madden.
AD.
AD, yeah, I know. I call him AD. I always mess up and say that. It's AD.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And so when he walks in, people will be in awe, which means they will also listen and they'll follow how he takes care of his body, how he trains, how he eats, how he recovers, all of that. So he'll be an asset to younger guys, i.e. the Atlanta Falcons. Corey, do you know who the Atlanta Falcons took with their number one pick, their first round pick this year?
Yes, sir. Bijan Robinson.
That's right. A guy like that. Man, that would be a great start to his career if you had a guy like that the first year being able to show you the ropes. Because now it's like, oh, well, we growing young and these guys can come in and can contribute right away. Yes, but there's so much more to the game. There's so much more to learn. Like, guys don't even figure out how to watch film until year 5. Right? Like I sit down with guys now and be like, okay, this is what you're watching. Here's the steps. It took me 5 years, 6 years to finally get in the rhythm. Like, okay, now I know what I'm looking at. I see what the defensive coordinators are doing. I understand the scheme. Now I understand how this cornerback, which is my matchup, how that fits into this game plan. Now let me see his tendencies. What is he doing with this stagger start? Why is his foot here? Oh shit, let me jot that down. I'm gonna tally this up. Every time it was cover 2, he did this. Okay, that's a tendency. When it was cover 3, he did that. Quick jam, blah, 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 blah. If you have a guy in your room to be able to walk you through that, then it takes your game to a whole nother point, because the coaches, you expect the coaches to do it, but the coaches got so much to do, right? So with Adrian Peterson, I definitely think he can do it. And also, he can still tote it 5 to 10 times a game. Be red zone, right? So that sounds crazy for people to think he can't. And to answer your question, when you talk about ranking all time, like I'll be honest, Ashley, I got Barry Sanders is number 1 for me. And it ain't about numbers. This is about his flair and how he approached the game. He's definitely top 5. I'll put him at 4 maybe.
Okay.
Because you got Emmitt Smith out there, and some people knock Emmitt Smith, Ashley, and that's notice your guy on your team because they feel like, oh, look at the offensive line he had, look at the system he was in.
Doesn't matter. Look at the numbers he had too.
Where you put a guy like Damian Thomason?
He might be there? 3.
Yeah.
I would say AD's top 5 though. I'm putting him in top 5 for sure.
Let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah,
So
like
let's
great
get
running backs, because they are some good ones. You got Marshall Faulk.
hold on. Let me pull this up for us, right?
Yeah.
Best running backs ever. Let's see this list, because it's heavy. It's hard.
It is.
Jim Brown.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Walter Payton. Adrian Peterson. Tony Dorsett. Marcus Allen. Jerome Bettis. Edge. Edgerrin James. You got Barry Sanders. LT. LaDainian Tomlinson. Can I say his name? O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, no, he was a dog though.
Why'd you ask me if you could say his name?
We good? Did we cancel him? Is he canceled or not?
That happened. I was a baby when that happened.
Is OJ canceled or not?
Y'all, if he was canceled, it was before I was born.
Okay, I just don't know. I don't want to get canceled because I'm talking about somebody canceled. Like, I don't know.
Hello, Twitter world.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. Didn't they take
Marshall
his
Falk
head out of
Statute
Canton?
of limitations to talk about him.
No, but his head is not even in Canton anymore, is it?
So he's canceled.
They removed him.
Is it?
So he's canceled.
I'm pretty sure. No, maybe he does still have his gold jacket. I thought they took his head out of.
That sounds like a cancel move.
Yeah, it does.
And if it is,
double check that. I don't.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they took his head out of Canton. I knew that. Like when the whole thing happened.
All right, so we didn't say his name.
It was stolen.
Shady McCoy,
his head was stolen.
Frank Gore, Bo Jackson, So here's what we got to do, right? So I think for me, Walter Payton, Adrian Peterson, not in any order, Barry Sanders, LT, and I gotta put Emmett in there. I know there's some people that challenge that because they say he had this, like maybe the best offensive line ever for most of his career. right? They had those big dogs up front, but a running back taking that amount of abuse.
So top 10 all
no,
time?
5.
Top 5. I had him in 5 too.
5 for sure.
Yeah.
So what it was, just to verify, is his head was stolen, I guess?
Yeah, that's what they say.
It says here Simpson can never be expelled from the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's a rule that they have. But
he was inducted.
No.
He was canceled though. So
no, he doesn't even
show.
Expelled, but your memorabilia will be taken down. Best believe your stuff ain't.
So you could still be in the books, but like they'll take all the.
Yeah, let me tell you. So look,
he doesn't even go to those things. Like
he's not even allowed.
He's not even like allowed to like go to those Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremonies and stuff.
He's canceled.
That makes sense.
He's canceled.
You think I'll ever get canceled?
I mean,
what's the chance of me getting canceled in the next 10 years?
Do you plan on committing a murder?
No, what are you talking about? I'm not saying you can do anything.
When you,
like I'm saying, you can say something crazy. How about that? You can say something crazy. No, y'all on the wrong end of the spectrum. Y'all on the wrong end of the spectrum.
We went from OJ cancel. There's levels of cancel.
Because you can say something wild, right? Like there's so many communities you can offend, right? Like a lot of people are getting canceled because of what they say, right? Do you think there's a chance of me being canceled? You've been around me enough. Be honest.
I don't think people get canceled for things they say like that anymore. I mean, Kyrie's not canceled. He had his incident. Like he's not canceled. Yeah, but I don't think people are. I think it's more actions. Like you'd have to actually do something. I think people are more forgiving with words or a slip of the tongues or not really understanding certain terminologies if it comes from a place of non-malice. I think it's actions that are more cancelable, if that's a word. Like I feel like you'd actually have to do something. Do you plan on doing anything that we should be aware of?
Right.
No, I'm not gonna do anything.
Okay.
I'm just gonna sit in this studio for the next 2 years. I'm not gonna.
Someone in the chat said 10 years. I'll say about 40%. That's
40%.
That's pretty high.
I'm gonna sit in the studio for the next. I'm not even gonna put any time on it. I'm gonna sit in the studio until we have 20,000 people watching our show live. And then I'll go outside and I might get myself in trouble.
Oh man! All
okay.
Right. Well, how about
we got a 30% in the chat, so we're going down
on that point.
Yeah.
Well, before you move on, Corey, on the go is important to us. So for a lot of people who follow that channel, I Am Athlete on the Go, OTG. That's basically a format for us to be able to get outside of a studio, get off the set, and just have one camera and ask a question. We saw this with Patrick Mahomes and Rihanna, Super Bowl Ashley, what we did with TikTok, like just quick little short interviews. I want you guys to take a look at some of our best moments because we got some big things happening here in the next couple of weeks with On The Go. So take a look at On The Go here. And we'll be back.
The top 3 rappers alive.
Can you do the Fat Boys count as one rapper?
No.
Jay-Z.
Oh.
Shoot, I don't know.
Come on, Coach, you got it. Dig deep.
Master P.
Master P? Yeah, where'd that come from?
Let's go.
Getting bout it. Any TikToks coming out this week?
Oh, for sure, 100%. A lot of TikToks this week.
Can you give us a hit?
I'm gonna just say this: it's some dancing, and I'm putting something together with my teammates for a touchdown celebration. So,
don't ever take a young man or a kid and give up on him, because there is a man in there that can change things. That's you. He did. He wasn't easy to give up on.
Patrick Mahomes, I pranked him yesterday. And I said, Rihanna said that you're the greatest quarterback ever. He blushed, he smiled. And then at the end, I was like, bro, I'm lying. Rihanna came out and said that you are the greatest quarterback ever. Hearing that, how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel great. Whatever Rihanna says is like the gospel. So I'm glad that she went with me for that honor.
She didn't. She didn't. That's right. So can you tell him something nice?
That's so mean. He is mean. Okay? I am so sorry you went through that. I still think you're great.
See? There's still nice people in the world.
He's a hater, though.
Let me ask you this question. So Brandon Ayuk come out and say he did. What he said that they was going to get exposed. What was he saying about that?
Where's the holes?
Yeah, right. Where are the holes? I respect Slater. What about Bradbury? Trash. Bradbury trash?
Right now, what do you stand on the cannabis and all of that?
I mean, look, for me, I don't take any medication, right? Like nothing synthetic.
Right.
So for me, I'm all about doing what you need to do, right? You know, and I think, look, like, yeah, I got through some shit, but I went through some shit, but like, it's real, right? We're in 2023 and it's legal everywhere. So I'm not hating on it.
I'm a fan. I love you, brother.
That's on the go, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Where should we go next? Where do you want to go next?
I thought we were going on our training camp tour, and your cousin was driving the bus.
I haven't gotten the bus yet.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you guys see a big black bus driving around with I Am Athlete on the side, don't throw any eggs on it at the bus.
I won't be in the bus. I'll be on a plane.
You won't jump on the bus? What if we're driving from Miami to Atlanta? Could you do that?
Absolutely not. Why would I do that when I could be on an hour flight?
Yo, going on tour is the best thing ever. That's what makes it fun, is everything you do. On the bus, the pit stops, all of that.
You know what's even more fun? Getting to the destination in a timely manner. That's super fun. We can go to a bar, strip club. We could do we'll have so much free time. We'll have so much free time. We can do so many things. Why spend that time on a little bus with a bunch of smelly boys?
Anyway, stop. Hey, so we don't have any breaking news, Ashley. Sorry, Corey, we're going to bust a left here.
We do have breaking news.
Well, I was going to call it just in, like what just came in on your timeline.
So it was reported about, I want to say 10 minutes ago, that police did do a welfare check on John Morant this morning after his concerning social media post per TMZ Sports. They said that he's fine, and he told them that he's, quote, just taking a break from social media. If you were not familiar with what this is in reference to, John Morant earlier this morning put a bunch of posts up on his Instagram, and it was showing love to various members of his family, saying how much he loves them. And then the last post was a picture of John Morant being interviewed, and it said, these are the pictures here. So giving love to his daughter and his family. And the last post was him being interviewed saying bye. A lot of people took that to mean a bunch of different things. And I guess it was serious enough for, the police to go ahead and do a welfare check. I don't know if they took that and did that on their own accord, or somebody from his family or his camp asked them to do a wellness check. I think that's usually how it works. Somebody has to call them on your behalf. They don't just go around looking at social media and making those wellness checks. But so that's the update. He's fine, which is good to hear. And he's just taking a break from social media, which could be beneficial for him.
So what do you think is going on in his head right now, right? Like, obviously, this is the second incident. It's been very public. He's been scrutinized to the fullest. Now he's had, almost 2 weeks to sit on it, meditate, think about it. What do you think is going on in Jaw's world right now?
I think there's a few things. I think that it's disappointment in himself. I think it's maybe embarrassment in himself. I think it's maybe frustration in himself.
Yep.
This is why I particularly, when talking about things like this, and I know people, initially said I was making excuses for him, but I'm somebody who I tend to try to see things from multiple angles, multiple perspectives, because things aren't always what they seem to be. And while, yes, you can go ahead and chastise his behaviors, and we all have said that they're not, the behaviors of a superstar in this league, and that he has a responsibility, although he is young, to be better and to be an example not only for his own fans, but for the brand that he works for, the NBA. But I think this is why I also, when having these conversations, I tend to lean towards the side of grace also, because you really never know what somebody is going through.
Right.
And thankfully he's okay. But if he wasn't, there'd be a lot of people who would feel bad about the way that they have approached this story. And you can go ahead and hold someone accountable, but you can also do it with kindness. And I think that people forget that in this hot take business that we're in, where it's a lot of stories being shared and a lot of opinions and perspectives and different walks of life. But I would want people, we're not talking about wins and losses. We're not talking about, should he have taken that shot? Should he have not? We're talking about people's lives. Yeah. We're talking about individuals. We're talking about human beings. And it's important to hold people accountable and have, your opinions, and everyone's entitled to that, but you can do it with kindness. And I just wish that when it came to this topic and a bunch of other conversations that we have had about players who've come out about having mental health issues, or just, dealing with, the trials and tribulations of being a superstar in the league. I just wish that people were a little bit more understanding that they're athletes, but they're human. And we always talk about humanizing athletes, but I think that a lot of people forget that when they don't agree with the action of the athlete.
Right.
So
listen, and that's why I appreciate this opportunity that we have where we can be on YouTube telling our stories or covering sports the way we want to cover sports, because, that's what sells on other networks and the traditional major platforms is they're going to lean into the controversy and they're going to bash. And they forget that at 23, where they were and the mistakes they made. They also seem to forget, and this is one of the reasons, and I shared this story before, why I'm not on FS1 anymore, is because there was a few people covering, we were talking about Kawhi Leonard one time, and they were bashing Kawhi Leonard, but this same person privately.
Kawhi when he was on the Clippers?
Yeah, just like Kawhi late to the plane, he got his own little setup when he arrives at arenas. He's isolated, bashing Kawhi. And some of this stuff was valid, right? Like some of the stuff, we should have been talking about it, but the way they were talking about it and not also holding themselves accountable, I was like, I don't dig this, right? And basically it's like you can go out there publicly and talk about people this way, but privately you're worse. That don't add up to me. Now, if you come out and say, Ja Morant this, Kawhi Leonard this, Kyrie here, KD this person, OBJ that, and then say, I too, made mistakes, or I too still deal with certain things like that, then I can listen to you, then I can respect you. But if you don't hold yourself accountable privately, I don't dig that, right? And so that's what they forget. I will say this about Ja. You got Shady McCoy Tech calling me now. I will say this about Ja. He's young. This was boneheaded. He did it twice. And he is hopefully at rock bottom when it comes to being a pro athlete, right? Because you got to learn how to be a pro. And being a pro, it's like how you conduct yourself on and off the court, the pitch, the field. It took me until I was about 26 to finally understand what that looks like, right? And even still to this day. And I took something from the Devontae Adams conversation I had with him Friday in Vegas. He said every day when he walks out the house, he says, don't embarrass your wife, don't embarrass your kids, and make sure you protect the name on your back, right? And over the last 5 days, I've been doing that, like leaving the house, like, yo, protect my name, like just using that as a little reminder, protect my name. So it took me a long time to understand that, and it's still to this day, I feel like all of us need to remind ourselves, how to integrate into the world, because the world's a nasty place. And that's why I do push a little bit back on you, Ashley, when we talk about this media thing, is because if we're expecting the media, if we're expecting people in the chat, if we're expecting the world to be nice to us, we are going to get our ass kicked.
It's not about me expecting people to be nice, but I think it's about, when you have a platform and you have a voice that has an audience, I feel like it is your responsibility to use that wisely.
Right.
And that's, the same thing we hold athletes to accountable for. We're talking about this now with Ja Morant. The reason that people are upset is because he does have a platform, and it does mean that you are held to a different standard than a regular person on the street. And I don't know, I'm not expecting people to, just, sugarcoat certain things, but it's like what you said about being accountable.
Right.
But that accountability also pertains to the people reporting stories. One of my favorite quotes is, every time you point a finger, there are 3 pointing back at you. Mm-hmm. None of us are perfect people. And I would just and I know people will say, oh, you're so pro athlete. I am, because at the end of the day, they're human. Mm-hmm. So it is not my responsibility to pass judgment. It's my responsibility to give opinions. Mm-hmm. It's my responsibility to give those opinions responsibly, but it's also my responsibility to give those opinions as kindly as I can, because we're all dealing with things. We're all human. We're all imperfect. And while that responsibility may not lie on somebody who's, on a YouTube thread or on Twitter or in a Reddit conversation because it's anonymous,
right,
when your face is attached to the things that are coming out of your mouth, it 100% is your responsibility to lead with kindness and to lead with the understanding that this is my opinion,
right,
but I'm not perfect.
Right.
So it's not my responsibility to go on air and call you a dumbass,
right,
or call you ignorant, or call you out of your name. It's my responsibility to share my thoughts on a story, report that story, but do so with kindness. And there's too much of a blurred line when it comes to that. There's too much name calling. There's too much not understanding that these are people. And I don't like that.
I love when I hear that shit on ESPN and FS1, because it gives people like us a bigger platform and a bigger voice, because they're going to continue to do that and sell. And I think Pat McAfee said this because he just actually did a big deal with ESPN. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this shapes out, and, how the platform stays what it is today, authentic and real. But he talked about, him doing it a new way. Mm-hmm. And that way being, you don't have to go out there and sensationalize shit. You don't have to go out there and just talk about all the negative stuff around players, right? So when they do that, I feel like it gives us an opportunity to actually do it the way that we call right. You know what I'm saying? But I still think players should be held accountable. And we're saying the same thing, course, right? And for me, the way I always do it is always put my place in their shoes. I always put I always put myself in their seats, right? Like, I think about that. It's like, all right, well, when I was in this situation, I made this mistake, so I can understand it, but your ass still need to get it right. And so when it comes to Jaw, can we put those photos back up? And this is Ashley Nicole Moss, Brandon Marshall, Corey in the cut, Woo out west, BC in the booth, and Mysterious Manderville. I finally hit it. That was smooth. On Paper Route, Faction Talk, Channel 103 on SiriusXM, to all of our listeners and everybody on YouTube that's rocking with us and been rocking with us for a minute. But we're talking about Ja Morant, so let's put those photos back up. A lot of people were concerned that he is maybe sending a message, right? Like, is this it? We got to say it. Suicide, we're scared to say that, because when you say, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love you, baby, to his daughter, and then say bye on social, that's scary. So this is Ja Morant. He put this out. Was this yesterday or today?
No, it was this morning. It's also highly disingenuous to me that the same people who were quick to call him a liar, the same people who were quick to say, oh, he's not dealing with anything, the same people who were quick to call him names are the same people who are now like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. And that's the problem when you don't lead with kindness, when you don't lead with grace, when you don't have it in you to walk the line between holding someone accountable and just being mean-spirited.
Well,
you don't know what people are going through, and it's irresponsible. You can't expect a lot from people within social media. I hate to say it, but you can't. But you should be able to expect a lot of people who have platforms. And it is highly irresponsible the way that these athletes are reported on. They are people, they have families, and what happens on the court is free game. When you start talking about people's families and you start calling people out of their names and you start just hitting below the belt, it is so egregiously ugly, and I can't respect it. It's just not okay. It's hypocrisy, because if the roles were reversed, it would be a problem.
Right.
Because it's the same people, when those athletes get on Twitter and fire back, all of a sudden, oh, I'm just doing my job. No, you're being an asshole. That's not doing your job. It's your job to report on stories, and it's your job to do so responsibly. Your job is not to be an asshole. That's a choice.
Right. No, I agree with you, and that's well said. I will say this, right? I think this is an opportunity for a lot of people to learn and understand, and including Ja, right? Because it comes down to signs and symptoms. We don't know when people are suicidal. We don't know when people are dealing with anxiety. Sometimes people may have a panic attack, and some people think they're dying or they're having a heart attack. But we don't know how to, weed between the two, or decipher between the two. Am I saying that correctly? But anyways, you guys are following me here. So it comes down to signs and symptoms, and Ja Morant, right? When you have behavioral challenges and things that show up like that, it makes it easier for people to play into that narrative. And Ja does need help, right? Ja does need to talk to someone, whatever he's dealing with, right? Because the answer is not, continue to act like you from the hood and from the streets and doing those things. And this is a lot of times you have to take these things serious, but sometimes it's a call for help, right?
Yes. Two things can be true, though.
Yeah, 100%. So for him, he's hurt and he's struggling right now. I remember when I was in this situation too, like in my own situation, but similar, where the whole world, I made a dumb mistake, and then the whole world is talking about me. Like, he's sitting there watching ESPN. He's seeing all of this. And that's one of the hardest things, is seeing your name go across the ticker on some dumb shit. That is one of the hardest things. Like, it's like an out-of-body experience. The whole world is talking about you. Everybody on ESPN, FS1, YouTube, Paper Route, talking about you. And you sitting here and you just like, damn. You on Twitter, seeing on Instagram, people messaging you, and you got to sit with that, right? That's tough. I sat in my theater room for 2 weeks, didn't leave. So I know exactly where Ja is right now, and it's still no excuse. Hopefully he bounces back. He gets the help and the advice he needs to come back a pro. I just think I really think it's immaturity. And he said something big in 21. He was sitting down with Taylor Rooks, and he talked about mental health, and most athletes deal with this. A big part of why a lot of guys struggle is because they're like Atlas, right? Atlas, y'all ever seen that statue, the dude holding up the world, right? So think of an athlete, and they're holding up all their families, right? Couple generations. Everybody's expecting you to do everything. And he talked about that. He's like, it's hard. It's hard, like, when I know I need help, but I got to stay strong for everyone else. And a lot of players struggle during this time, the first part of their career, because they're throwing all this money, all this wealth, and then everybody's coming and like, me, give me. And they don't know how to work through it. So, Ashley, I hope he gets better.
Yeah, no, certainly wishing the best for Ja Morant. But all right, guys, we're going to finish the show with Fact or Foolish. So remember, in this segment, I'm going to read these guys.
I feel like we haven't done Fact or Foolish in like a long time.
It's been a while, right? I know the fans, they like this segment here. But I'm going to read them a statement. They determine whether it's fact or foolish, but they have to give their explanation why. So first statement I have for you guys, and we were talking about him a little earlier. Bills quarterback Josh Allen has his best statistical year next season. Fact or foolish?
Can we do this first?
What's that? Can
you finish this phrase for me? Damn, I can't talk. It's okay, though. I know who I am. All right. Y'all ready? Ashley, she probably ain't going to participate.
I'll participate. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Are you ready? Start fast.
Finish strong.
Come on, Ashley. We in the locker room. You got to imagine.
Okay.
You got CeeDee Lamb over here, Dak Prescott over there.
Okay. Ready? Go.
Start fast.
Finish strong.
All right, let's go. All right, that's how we end the show. We end the show strong. All right, so what's your question? Ask it again.
Bills quarterback Josh Allen has his best statistical year of his career next season. Fact or foolish?
All right, so Ashley's going with fact. You want me to jump in, or do you want to elaborate, Ashley?
Just fact.
All right, so listen, who knows, right? It's a guess. There's so many different outside factors, injury, it's inevitable. Are you going to be hurt or not? Are you gonna be healthy? What's happening here? Is your guys gonna be healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Is the offensive coordinator, is his ass gonna get tight? Pause. Right. We talked about that. We broke down that definition yesterday. Go back and watch that show if you don't know what that means. Right. Because in the biggest moment, I got to count on you. You got to dial it up. It's 2 minutes. They're throwing the house, the kitchen sink, everything at us.
Mm-hmm.
What play do we have? What did you design? Okay. So there's so many things there. But when you look at him going into year 6, you look at him maturing. Like, this is a sweet spot for any athlete, but definitely a quarterback, right? Just a few years ago, he was at Wyoming.
Yep.
This dude was a guy out there just throwing it around. Now he is becoming more sophisticated as a quarterback, as a gunslinger, breaking down defenses, understanding offense at the highest level, understanding, what's going to happen before it happens. So he's going into year 6. And he has to be better. Keep saying that. I don't know what the hell's going on in the organization, but something seems off. Because you would expect a team like this to be riding high, like coming in with a lot of confidence. It's like it's less confidence and more question marks around this team. Is it not? So he has to be exceptional if they want to contend, if they want to be good, if they want to close the gap between them and the Cincinnati Bengals. I say there is a gap.
When you say gunslinger, I just think of him like
walking out. But so let's look at
funny
this.
meeting you here.
All right, so let's look at his stats, his regular season. All right. So 2018, 2,000 yards, 19, 3,000 yards, 4,500 to follow, 44, and then 42. 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Yes, I'm gonna go fact here. I think that he goes for he has a better year than 2020. 2020 was his better year. 4,500 yards through the air, average 7.9 yards per completion, 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He has to be exceptional. If he is elite. And I ain't throwing around that word too easy like y'all be throwing around, Ashley. He'll have a better year.
Okay.
We shall see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. Bears quarterback Justin Fields spoke to the media yesterday. And when he was asked what his approach is going into year 3, considering the implications it would have on a potential contract extension, his answer was, I'm not worried about contracts. I'm worried about wins. So, fact or foolish, quarterback Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears win the NFC North next season.
Well, first off,
I love that answer, Dylan.
Yeah.
It was very Lamar-esque.
Right? Didn't you like that? Right?
I do. I love that answer. Dak said that once upon a time too. Lamar said that. I love that answer.
Yeah, because when you're a baller, that's like confidence, right? Like what's understood don't need to be said.
Facts. But I'm gonna go fact.
I go fact
Justin.
here too. Well, let's break it down real quick. Ashley, tell me if I'm too long. Do this. When you need me to land a plane, just do this.
No, I'm just going to be like, land the plane. Go ahead. And take off.
Are you ready? All right. So the question is, Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears win the NFC North. Let's look at the NFC North. Woo. Who's in the NFC North? Don't look it up.
It's trivia.
Look.
I got to look it up, but it's Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago.
Okay, so when you look at this, Ashley, is there any team, who's the team that threatens them?
Probably the Vikings.
The Vikings, correct.
This year, maybe the Lions. Maybe. We'll see.
The Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions are tough.
The Lions, yeah. I would also have to look at everyone's individual schedule to really make this assessment. But I'm gonna go fact because I like Justin.
I'm gonna go. I want to say fact, Ashley.
But
because the Lions are tough. All right. Minnesota is really good.
Yeah,
they have stability. But the Chicago Bears, to me, is going to be the surprise team. Mm-hmm. Every year, there's always one team that shocks you.
So rank them. Vikings number 1.
Vikings 1, Chicago Bears 2, Detroit 3, Green Bay big glass.
Yeah, right.
Big glass. Big
I like
glass.
that.
Yeah, no, I got that same ranking.
Right. So I'm gonna go false here, but I'm excited. There's storylines. Okay. I want to watch these young quarterbacks. I want to watch Lamar Jackson, because I think that this is the year they could potentially have a nice run. Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to watch my Jets, and I want to see the Chicago Bears. I want to see what the Chicago Bears do.
I mean, you have a lot of teams to choose from. Blessings.
Storylines. Stop hating.
That's amazing.
I thought you just went on this whole rant. That wasn't a rant. I hate when people use
not
those
a rant.
words.
I'm just
rant.
saying you have a lot of teams that you can just support, and when someone says, "Oh, you're a bandwagon," say, "No, I played for them." That's amazing.
Let me ask you a question. You're a hater.
Corey, go.
You're a hater. All right, go. What's the next one?
All right, next one. We talked about earlier about Kenny Pickett and some of these younger quarterbacks. Desmond Ridder, he's another one that you've actually been pretty high on. So factor foolish, Desmond Ridder makes the biggest jump among second-year quarterbacks.
Give me some of the names of the second-year quarterbacks.
So you got Kenny Pickett, that was one. Mm-hmm. You got Brock Purdy. You got Sam Howell, who's actually going to be the starting quarterback for the Commanders as of right now. So who would you say makes the biggest jump?
That's crazy. They ain't make a move. The Commanders ain't make a move at quarterback. Who is Sam Hurd? Can anybody tell me anything about Sam Hurd? I'm not trying to hate. I'm not being a hater. I know we're player friendly, but that's crazy to me. They not really trying to win. They ain't even give your boy. Are we talking about Chase later?
Chase Young, yeah.
Are we talking about today?
Yeah, well, we might have ran out of time, but we could hit him.
They ain't even give him his fifth-year option.
Right.
Like, what they trying to do over there? Maybe it's because they're in between the sale, right? But that's wild to me. The one that scares me is Kenny Pickett. We talked about him earlier, Ashley, with Big Ben. The dude,
Coach
Big Ben
Mike,
even said, that's
one
of the things Big
Tomlin.
Ben said. Big Ben said, oh, no, this dude can play. You shocked me. You were a surprise. I didn't know you can run the way you run. I didn't know your leadership skills. I didn't know you spent the ball the way you spent the ball.
Yeah, he's
right?
dope.
But I'm going to say fact here, because no one is expecting this kid who I keep chopping up his name. Every show I ask you guys when we talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Corey, what's this kid's name? What's his name?
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder. I think I got it now. I'm excited about. Add that to the storyline. Can we get a graphic made of all of Brandon's, talking third person, storylines for NFL season?
You mean your takes?
No, storylines.
Oh, okay.
Things that we need to be watching for. Y'all need to be watching this kid this year. So I'm going to go fact here, Ashley. I'm excited about this dude. You know why? Because I looked him in his eyes. And you don't do that. Every time we talk, that's why everybody love you when we talk basketball, because you want to go out there and be like, well, statistics say this and history and this and that, and then I'm going to blah, 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 blah. All I need to do is look in the player's eyes. And when I looked in his eyes, Ashley, I fell in love. I fell in love. He got it. He had something special. So fact
very
for me.
romantic.
Did you give your answer, Ashley? Fact, foolish? What you think?
I want to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to say fact.
Yeah. We'll go with Desmond Ridder to make the biggest jump. All right,
you got to give me some juice. You don't think that? No, we'll go to the
We're
next
not
one.
going to give any juice. We're going to keep it moving.
She said he be hating on their Commanders. Dog, where you from, the DMV? That's more tall dog. Come on, bro. If you ain't with me, then you just blind about what your organization is doing.
Yeah, well, we're going to stay in the DMV right here. Washington Commanders trade D.N. Chase Young before offseason ends. Factor foolish. It's a lot of friction that's going on between him and the organization right now. Brandon just said it. They declined his fifth-year option. What do you think happens?
I would like if they traded him
He's a good
out
player.
of the NFC East.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be sensational for me. So I'm going to say fact.
Yeah. I say fact here. It makes sense to me. You have your quarterback is Sam Hurd. Who can you give me anything on Sam Hurd before the show ends?
What is with you and Sam Hurd? Why are you?
It's Sam Howell.
Can you give me anything on
It's
this kid?
Howell, first of all. His name's
Howell.
Howell. Howell. HOWE. No, Sam.
Sam
Howell.
Sam Howell.
No, Howell.
Sam Howell.
Yes, like owl, but with an H.
So you got Sam Howell. Okay.
Close enough.
You don't make a move. You're not even trying for real. Your team is in transition. It makes a lot of sense to me. Why don't you go rebuild? Well, you already. I don't know what y'all doing.
Not much data. He played one game, 11 for 19, 58% completion, but he got 169 yards in a TD.
Say that again.
And a win.
That's decent.
Start from the top. What did you say? The first thing that you said.
I said
no, that's not what you said. What's the first thing you said?
Messed up.
Not a lot of data.
Oh yeah, not a lot of data.
I knew where you was going with that too.
But it's 11 to 19 and 58, call it 58% completion and 169 yards in a TD.
That's your guy.
In a pick.
Oh, it was a pick. Okay.
That's not my guy. I'm a Cowboys fan.
He ain't a pick, but
look at his elbow.
judging his elbow.
Hey, yo.
Judging his elbow.
Why are you violating this man? First, you didn't even know what his name was.
Hey, no, I'm right with Sam. That's what I was.
What's his last name?
How?
Yes.
Sam Howell Hurd. No, I'm messing around. I say fact. That makes a lot of sense from a business perspective, and I'm pulling for Sam Howell. That's what it's about. It's about being an underdog and doing the unexpected. That's what it's about. Why are you laughing?
Because it's just
Ashley, what are you going to do for the rest of the day? Tell the people what you love to do on Wellness Wednesdays. Tell the people before we land the plane and we go.
I'm a big Pilates girl, so today is Pilates for me. I'm excited. 3 days a week, Pilates, cardio. And, there's no basketball on today.
Nope.
I'm going to catch up on Succession. When I get after Pilates. I'm a couple episodes behind. The series ends this weekend. I'm very emotional. One of the greatest shows of all time. And I'm sad.
That's cool.
So what are you about to do? Where are you going?
Daddy daycare. So my nephew, who it's like a son to me, he has his spring football game. So I'm gonna go there with my 3 babies. We'll probably be there until about 7:38, and then after that, I'll probably pull him to the side and make him do some extra work. Like I make them chase me around the field, keep his helmet, his pads on, extra condition. Let's go. If you can't catch the old man, then we not going to continue this football thing. We wasting time. We wasting time. Bro, I literally went out there and I was smoking his ass. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, 100 yards, boom. You got to catch me on the angle. But he had his pads on. He had no pads on.
Oh, okay. That makes a difference.
No, but he's doing phenomenal. Great kid. Has his head on kind of right. We still have some work to do. So I'm excited to see him play today, see all the progress he made this spring. It's his senior year. His bigger brother, his older brother, Armani Marshall, is going to UCF. He's going to be a Knight, continue the family legacy for all the Knights out there. So it's going to be big. Corey, do you have any cool plans this afternoon?
I got a doctor's appointment in about 40 minutes. Looking forward to it.
Okay, there you go. Doctor's appointment.
For my foot, by the way.
Achilles. I wish we had a wide shot for so everybody see what you did
Damn,
playing
there really is no basketball on today. No NBA, no WNBA.
Maybe some hockey. Maybe
I can't wait for basketball.
Are the Panthers playing tonight? They can complete the sweep. NHL, Florida Panthers. Shout out to the Florida Panthers.
I'm a Rangers fan, so I don't care.
South Florida sports been going off as of late. We love it.
All right, what was I saying? I said I wanted to say something before we ended the plane. I said something. Oh,
I don't know. What did you want to say?
Love you guys. This is Paper Route.
We have a show tomorrow. Don't make it seem like
we have Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, tell him about Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport and Ashley Nicole Moss is going to battle because Ashley Nicole Moss said Michael Rappaport is not a true New York Knicks fan. No. He jumped to the other side.
He's there
to the other borough.
With you.
To the Nets. She has real beef with Michael Rappaport. Or baby beef, play beef. But it's going to get spicy tomorrow. This is Brandon Marshall, Ashley Nicole Moss, Corey in the cut, Woo out west, BC in the booth, and Mysterious Mandeville.
No, Mandeville Mysterio, like a wrestler.
Mysterio. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Waiting for it to end.
There we go.